My young adult white American wife texted me, "I just want some fun. Don't wait for me this week." But instead of panicking,
Tuesday morning started like any other. Slow coffee, bleary eyes, and a heavy work schedule just waiting to crush me. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic, until my phone buzzed. It was a short message, way too casual, and yet it cut like a knife. I just want some fun. Don't wait for me this week. I read it twice, then a third time. Not because I didn't understand the words, but because I couldn't believe they were coming from Mia, my Mia, the woman I'd spent 8 years building a quiet life with. We had movie nights, lazy Sundays, spontaneous road trips, and small jokes only we understood. But lately things had shifted. A distance had grown so slowly I'd mistaken it for normal. Plans were canceled. Smiles felt forced. Her phone was glued to her palm like a second heartbeat. I had swallowed every sign, convincing myself it would pass. But this message? It wasn't just distance, it was a dismissal, and yet I didn't react. Not with anger, not with fear, not with desperation. Instead, something inside me settled. It was a strange calm, like finally exhaling after holding my breath for years. For once, I didn't feel like chasing answers. I didn't want to question her, confront her, or beg for clarity. I just wanted peace. So I put my phone down, took a deep breath, and stepped into my morning routine as if my world hadn't just shattered. The eggs sizzled in the pan. The coffee brewed, filling the kitchen with its familiar scent. The shower steamed up the mirror. But something was different. The quiet inside me wasn't heavy anymore. It felt like space was opening up in my chest. Mia always chased excitement, the kind that demanded attention. I used to admire it, even love her for it. But somewhere along the way, I started believing my own joy was tied to hers. And that belief had chained me. Her text did unhurt me as much as it revealed what I had been ignoring all along. Her choices didn't have to control my life. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I made plans for myself. I called my brother Liam. "Lake trip this weekend?" I asked. There was a beat of silence on the other end, then a burst of laughter. "Finally! I thought you'd never ask." That laugh, warm, familiar, honest, it hit me in a place that had forgotten what real joy felt like. Next, I dusted off my old guitar, the one that had been sitting untouched in a corner, buried under paperwork and responsibilities. The strings were a little off, the wood was dusty, but as soon as I strummed the first chord, something inside me lit up. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't polished, but it was mine. By noon, I felt more alive than I had in months. I cooked a real lunch instead of grabbing a rushed sandwich. I took a walk without checking my phone every single minute. I wasn't waiting anymore. I was living. Later that afternoon, another message from her popped up. "Hope you're surviving without me." The old me would have panicked, searched for hidden meanings, read it 5 times over. The new me simply smiled. I typed back, "living, thriving," and hit send. No drama, no guilt, no need for her approval. I realized something powerful in that moment. Her fun didn't have to define my life. Her absence didn't have to shrink my world. Her choices didn't have to pause my happiness. I didn't need to be part of her fun, and that truth. It felt like freedom. That evening I walked through the park near my apartment, the crunch of leaves under my feet, the cool air filling my lungs. I saw families laughing, couples holding hands, kids running around. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was missing something. I wasn't lonely. I was present. When I got home with a warm cup of tea in my hands, her message replayed in my mind. Not as a stab, but as a spark. "Don't wait for me this week." Fine, I wasn't waiting anymore. I was finally beginning. The following days felt like stepping into a new version of myself, one I didn't know I'd buried under routine and emotional dependence. Mia was out doing whatever she called fun, parties, late nights, a life filled with noise and movement. But instead of feeling wonder or worry, I felt something else, liberation. I filled my days with small victories. I signed up for a pottery class I'd been secretly wanting to try for years. The feeling of clay spinning between my palms grounded me. I was shaping something real, something that was entirely mine. That's where I met Harper. She was funny, warm, and honest. She told me how she started painting after leaving a draining relationship. You start remembering who you are, she said with a soft smile. And then life feels lighter. Theo, another classmate, shared how hiking every weekend helped him feel alive again. I was surrounded by people who were healing, growing, and choosing themselves. Their energy was infectious. I realized just how much I shrunk my world trying to hold on to someone who was drifting away. I left the studio that day feeling lighter than when I'd walked in. Later that evening, I went to a small cafe and sat by the window with a croissant and coffee. I watched people pass by, strangers with their own stories, couples laughing, friends deep in conversation. For the first time in years, I wasn't watching life happen from the sidelines. I was part of it. There was no phone anxiety, no waiting for messages, no wondering where Mia was or what she was doing. I was simply alive. When Friday came, Liam texted, "Packed, ready, let's go." We drove to the lake with the windows down. Music blasting, a cooler full of drinks, and a feeling of freedom filling the air like wildfire. As we arrived, the lake shimmered under a golden sunset. The waves gently licked the shore, and the scent of pine was thick in the breeze. Liam and I laughed like we were kids again, that loud, raw laughter that feels like medicine. We fished, we grilled, we cracked jokes, and we let the world just fade away. That night, sitting by the fire with a glass of whiskey in my hand and the stars stretching across the sky, I felt something shift deep inside me. I wasn't healing from Mia. I was reconnecting with myself, the man who used to have dreams, the man who used to try new things, the man who used to live freely before he tied his happiness to someone else's unpredictability. I didn't resent Mia. I didn't hate her for chasing excitement. I didn't want revenge. Because somewhere between the lake's ripples and the crackling fire, I understood something profound. Her path wasn't mine. Her joy didn't need to be my responsibility. And her choices didn't have to swallow me whole. I was choosing me now. And that choice, it tasted like freedom. Thanks for watching. I hope this story gives you a little strength. Don't forget to follow for more.